Hey guys, welcome to SMI Hub Canada. If you are new here, my name is Julie, and here I talk about everything studying and immigrating to Canada. And I just share things that helped me along the process, along the journey. Today, I'm going to be just sharing with you guys how to write your visa statement. I will be showing you my own visa statement of purpose, the one I wrote. Or that this can help you as a template for writing that winning visa statement of purpose. This got me my study permit visa without any stress and within, I think, 6 weeks. Don't forget to like or subscribe. See you guys soon. Note that I have blotted out some information just for my privacy, and also note that several other people are also going to be watching this video, so you want to make sure that you did not copy this template verbatim, word for word, but just tweak it to fit your situation. The reason why I'm sharing this document is because I know many people don't even have an idea of how to craft this letter, and I believe that this will help you have a sort of template to work with. So I started with date. You know how formal letters go, so you start with the date and your address if you want. I put my address here. I've blotted that out, and this is the Canadian. You can put whatever you want. You can choose to put IRCC, as at that time I think they were Canadian High Commission. I don't know, I just put something simple. That's not the most important thing in this letter. So dear sir or madam, and then visa statement of purpose, you can choose to centralize this and put it in the middle if you want. I hereby attach this letter in support of my study permit application from outside Canada. So before I start, you will notice that my letter has a lot of subtitles. I like subtitling different portions of my letter because I feel like it helps the visa officer to go straight to the point, to know what each portion is about. Like this, they know, okay, this is about brief introduction, this is about why this degree, so I subtitled the different part of my letter, and I'll advise you do that. So that's up to you. So my name is so, and I have been accepted to pursue doctoral studies at the Department of Dash, at the University of Dash in Canada. And here I briefly establish what my career has been about so far, and this would differ from person to person. The major thing is when visa officers read your letters, they want to see if your career progression is in line with the degree you want to study. So that's the major thing. So they are looking at your study plan and your purpose of visit, which of course is to do a specific degree in Canada. What you want to do is to try to tie in the degree you want to go and do with what you've been doing so far. So you want to make sure that they see that career progression. Why I think letters are important in study permit applications and all Canadian applications is because Canada's application, including their permanent residency application, is all Dropbox, so they don't do interviews like the US. So you don't have the opportunity to explain things. You don't have the opportunity to talk about discrepancies in your documents, to talk about things like career change, for instance, if you are moving from one career to the other. But you can use this letter of explanation to establish these things. So for instance, if you were formerly studying microbiology and then you want to go and do a degree, master's degree in business administration, you can see that those two things are different. But there's a way you can establish that there is a career progression and that this degree is very important in you moving to the next phase of your career. So you can probably tie it in with your work experience. Maybe you've been working for years in the banking sector, or you are an entrepreneur, you're doing something business, and you want to just go for this degree and you believe it to help you to become a better business person. So there are different ways you can do this. In my case, it was very easy because all I've been doing all along is in line with what I want to do. So it's like a combination of what I've been doing. So if you notice, I mentioned my name, and then I started talking about what I've been doing so far. So my focus is on this and fate of nutrients in soil and water, the overall impact on the ecosystem and climate. This will be principally achieved by focusing on characterization of organic matter in a bid to study its forms and functions in ecosystem management and climate change. I focused on these keywords because that's what my program is about climate change, it's about ecosystem management, it's about environment, so I make sure that those keywords are also reflected in my history. So why this degree? As I said, why a visa officer, what a visa officer is trying to look at when they read your letters, and let me tell you, they read this letter. There was a friend of mine that applied, and he was denied a visa for his master's, even though he had funding, full funding, like a lot of funding actually, at the University of Saskatchewan. And then the only thing we changed majorly was this letter. I took one look at his letter for statement of purpose letter, and I immediately knew why he was denied, because I think he applied for GCMS, if I remember correctly, and what the visa officer wrote is that he's not convinced that the applicant has a convincing study plan and purpose. So I knew he had to do with his letter of explanation. So we sat down, and with this my statement of purpose, we recrafted it. Note, I'm not an agent, so I did it for him as a friend. We put our heads together and we rewrote this letter, and he was given that visa sharp, very fast. So they read these letters. His letter was just very confusing. He had he was good and everything, but he just didn't know how to write the letter. So I understand that there are some people out there that don't know how to write these letters, and I hope this will help. For why this degree? This is where you talk about your study, your purpose of visit. Why are you going to do this degree? So I would advise, maybe you just take a piece of paper, take a pen, reflect. Why are you actually going to do this degree? If you're having a career change, you want to talk about how this degree will be useful in establishing you in the next phase of your career. It can be as simple as, oh, I've been working so far locally in my home country, and I want to open up myself to a multicultural experience. I want to interact with people from other culture, and I want to broaden my horizon. I believe doing this degree, will help me. So it could be just that. It could be, this degree, this type of degree is not available in my home country. Because within this degree, I will have an internship, I will have a co-op, I will have an opportunity to do this particular, courses. So it could be just as simple as that. Okay, I will do a course in business administration, I'll do a course in this. I've looked at the courses that they offer, and I see that these courses will really help me, in launching my business when I come back home. They just want to see that the details of this degree you want to go and do. You are not just going for economic migration to leave your country, but you are going to actually be a student. You want to convince them that you are really going to study, and that you know what you're going to study. So that's just what they want to see. So here I wrote, I have a bachelor's degree in soil science and a master's degree with distinction in soil chemistry. If you have good grades and things like that, you can talk about it here. If you don't have, just be silent. I've learned not to talk about my weaknesses, but to talk about my strengths. We'll get to that shortly. I'll show you something. So during my undergraduate studies, I interned at this university teaching and research firm. I'm very passionate about environmental sustainability in Nigeria. Up to this point, I have been involved in several projects and work that deals with this issue in Nigeria. When I worked at the International Institute of Dash headquarters, I was involved in projects that aim to assist farmers in soil conservation and effective farming systems. We help local farmers adapt fertilizer technologies that reduce greenhouse gas emissions and consequent climate change. I also worked on a special fertilizer technology during my master's program, in which I produced an organo-mineral fertilizer consisting of urea intercalated with biochar and manure. I tested this fertilizer on random field trials across 2 geozones in southwest Nigeria, and the trials yielded successful results on positive environmental impact. This research resulted in a conference proceeding and presentation, and culminated in me winning the So Training Award after my master's program, the first female Nigerian to win the same. This training award was carried out at Dash, Sevilla, Spain, under world-renowned professors in my field. During that internship, I was trained in the use of an array of modern analytical techniques appropriate for these studies. Such were analytical pyrolysis, PYGCMS, spectroscopies, CPMES, NMR, IRMS, and chromatographic techniques, GCMS. So reading this, what do you feel about this applicant? Well, you can feel like this applicant has been working on this thing. This applicant did not just dabble into this career because he wants to come to Canada. This applicant has been, the career progression is solid, and you can also feel that this applicant is motivated. Okay, am I praising myself right now? But you get what I'm saying. So you want to present yourself that way. I've learned that everybody has strengths, and you might not have all this research thing, but you might have a lot of work experience. You might have trained people at your workplace. You might have trained, you might have won awards. You might have won, whatever it is. You might have climbed up your career, so talk about those things. That's what you want to talk about. So I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and that's why I want to do this. Do you get my drift? That's exactly what you need to do. You need to talk about what you've done here and how this ties into what you want to go and do. Make them see you as a motivated applicant, someone who will finish what the person has started, someone who is going to study, who is serious and is really going to study and finish the degree. Okay, so we move to why University of so, and this is where you talk about why you are going to your university. Some people choose to skip this part. You don't have to, but I feel like it also gives that flavor. It makes the visa officer see that you did your research. You didn't just choose this course randomly, and you didn't just choose this school randomly. Some of you know the unique selling point of your school, especially has to do with the degree you want to do. Okay, so this is where you talk about it, right? That you just want to show them that you've learned about this program and why it is the best program for you right now. So for me, because I'm doing a PhD, I talked about the fact that I have a professor who I will be working within his group. I mean, in whose lab I will be working, and I am in correspondence with this professor, and that we are beginning to decide on the type of work I will do. It just shows that this is why, let me read it out. So Professor so, my intending advisor, and I have been in correspondence both through mails and Skype before my application was initiated, submitted, and approved. Some of our email correspondence is attached, so I put a screenshot of some of our emails. I blotted out. I just put in the parts that are really easy to, they are not private, right? So I just put those parts there, the parts that talked about the research project that he feels that I should do and suggests that I should do. So he is primarily instrumental to my choice of that university as my study destination, which is the truth. Everything I wrote here in my letter is the truth, no embellishment. The real reason why I chose my university is because of the person I'm going to work with, and this is just because I'm doing a PhD program. In a PhD, the supervisor is the most important, right? And his lab and the type of work he does. So this is peculiar to my situation. In your case, it might be that the reason why you chose the program is because it's the best ranking for the degree you want to do. The reason why you choose university is because they focus a lot on international experience. So just make sure that you state why you chose that school. And you can see I put in his email. He just added another level of legitimacy to what I'm talking about. And then I also talked about some other things that I feel like is also shows that I know what I'm going to do. In addition, there is an ongoing collaboration in which I'll be involved with Professor This at University of This, which will grant me access to the NMR and other advanced methods for characterization of organic matter. Okay, so I talked about the work that I'll likely be doing, which fortunately is what what I'm doing right now. Okay, so and then I move to proof of funds. This is one of the most important part of your letter. If you have a lot of statements, this is where you begin to list the statement you have. If you are sponsored by 2-3 people, this is where you talk about them one by one. Attach the so from Mr. So. If some of this, attach the so from Mr. So and why they are sponsoring you. I covered all of this in my proof of fund video, so just check it out. From a fellow applicant to another, I've been through the process, and those are the things I learned. and I hope it helps. So this is proof of funds. Presently, my PhD study is funded by the university for 4 years, and the amount payable is this. Ultimately, this is for my living expenses after full tuition has been deducted. So you can see I talked about the money that is allocated for tuition and money that is allocated for living expense, because according to IRCC, you have to show your tuition plus $10,000 for your living expense for the year, just for the first year. So this is where you talk about it. Make sure you distinctly show the amount that you have for your tuition and enclose your tuition fee. If you go on your website, you can get it online, or you can ask anybody in your department, send them an email that you need the tuition fee schedule. It will show how much you are to pay for the first year. So that's if it's not even your admission letter. So make sure that you show the tuition fee details and also your funding details, so that they see clearly that, okay, this person has enough money to cover the tuition. That's what I did. I said, after full tuition has been deducted, I still have enough, that which the amount that I had was over the $10,000 that they required for my living expenses. So I said, I have attached admission letter, my funding letter, my tuition fee schedule. In addition to this, I have this naira in my account, a gift from my mother to me. Because my mom gave me something, because I wasn't showing proof of funds, so that was just like my proof of fund. I had funding already from the school, but my mom gave me something, and my husband had something, so that was just what I put together as my jara, like the extra on top of it. And I said that I will use it just for traveling and settling down. But if you don't have anything, if you are fully funded, or you just have to write here is your funding. Okay, so I also put summary of funds, me, travel support for my mom. This is a breakdown. So here, if you have 4 sponsors, put them one by one so that they see how much you have in total. Okay, so now here I listed the document I enclosed. This is important for some of you that have a lot of documents. You can see I enclosed my change of name. That was important to me because my name changed. The name I was using to apply for my visa was different. It's different from my maiden name, which is the name on my certificate. That's why I attached my marriage certificate and change of name. Other than that, I don't think it's important, except for the spousal open work permit, and I will be sharing the letter we use for that shortly in another video. Watch out for that. So I attached bank statement from the one that shows what my mom gave to me, and then my copy of my passport and previous visa that I had when I traveled to Spain. That was the only visa I had, so I put it there. So copy of admission letter, copy of tuition fee, funding letter, marriage certificate. I did not have so many documents, and the reason why I didn't have too many documents in my application was because I have a funding from the school, so I didn't have to show statement of account, letter from sponsors, letter from my uncle, letter from my dad, because I had the funding. But if you are in that situation, make sure that you outline all the documents. Letter from Mr. So with his signed, letter from this signed, if it's notarized letter from this. If you're showing home tie, like maybe you have pension account statement, if you have houses and homes and everything. I didn't have any of that. So if you have things like that to support your home tie, put it there. So that brings me to the last thing I want to talk about. If you notice, I didn't put home tie as a subtitle. I didn't put it, but we put it for when we apply for my husband and and my daughter. But for my own, I did not, because I did not have. I was doing what I was doing that time was Empower. I was doing Empower, and so I couldn't get a letter from them that would say maybe I'll go and come back, which I did not have that. So the only thing I had was my family, and that was why I didn't put a separate subtitle. I just said finally I'll be going for a 4-year doctoral program, and I have so many exciting plans to execute when I return and get into academia here in Nigeria. In addition, all my family members are back here in Nigeria. That was the only thing I wrote, because that was all I had. But I didn't make too much noise about it, because for me it was a weakness, so I put it at the end. And I didn't make noise about it. No subtitle for that one. So if you have good solid home tie, put it there and write it a subtitle and write details of it. So I look forward to a favorable reply from you sincerely, and I put my name and I signed. And this is the letter. I hope you've learned a thing or two, and hopefully you'll be able to write a very, very good statement. Thank you so much for tuning in. Till the next time, guys. Bye.